For the second part of Excel Chapter 7, what we're going to do is kind of bizarre in a sense, because we're going to assume that we create a template, which we did, but we're going to come back and use the template at a much later time rather than immediately after. One thing I should also mention is you will need the data files for Chapter 7 for the Excel to do the next part. If you haven't downloaded those and saved those, you need to do those before you do this part. Okay, what we're going to do in this part is we're going to import some data in a few different manners to fill in our spreadsheet. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to resave this in my USB drive. Instead of a template, I'm going to save it as a regular Excel sheet. Okay, and I'm going to call it, just for the example, 2014, because maybe next year I'll use this template, save it as 2015, and use it in that regard. So what I'm going to do now is click in cell A4, and what we're going to do is import some data from text first and foremost. To do this, we'll go to the Data tab, and we're going to say From Text. I'm going to go into my data files I have saved in Chapter 7, and I'm going to import the items from the data file. Now, I'm on page 424, and it goes through step by step here to make sure you have the correct settings. So on step 1, we need to make sure we choose delimited. On the next step, change this from tab to comma. And then on the next step, just keep that as general, and we'll hit finish. Now this will come up, and we want to go to properties and change a couple settings here. First thing we want to do is uncheck adjust column width, because we've spent all that time with the column widths, and we want to say overwrite existing cells with new data. Hit OK. Hit OK, and if everything works out well, you should have values that pop in like you see on my screen and on figure 7-20. Okay, so that's the first way to import items using a bit of text. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to import items from Access. So we're going to click in the next cell down in A11. We're going to keep the Data tab open, and we're going to import from Access. We'll go to our data files, Chapter 7, and there should be an Access data file called Clearpool Store. Now on this screen here, now I'm on the bottom of 427. And actually the setup here should be perfect, should be fine. Hit OK, and it will bring them in that regard. We need to do a couple things here to kind of clean this up. First thing is I'm going to go across in row 11. I'm going to right click and say convert to range. Oh, sorry, it's not right click, it's up here. Convert to range. And it's going to say you'll permanently remove this. Of course, that's fine, because all we want is the data. And then also I need to highlight row 11 and delete row 11. Now you notice that these imported cells are shaded. What I'm going to do to correct that is highlight row 10, go to the Format Painter, and then paint over top of those cells, and it will format those so they look like the other cells. So that's how data is imported using Access. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is import data from a web browser. Now this is going to be a little interesting because I need to open up a web browser. And let me do this a little differently. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to open up my data file in a web browser. It doesn't matter if you use Firefox or Internet Explorer, doesn't matter. And there's a web page called Clearpool Store. Now this is the data here. Now what's important is this is the web address that is actually the path where my data files are located. This will be probably different for everybody, certainly different from what the book has. So the book tells you the path. It's very unlikely that the path the book gives you will work. So this is how I arrived at this. So I'm going to copy that back in my spreadsheet. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to data. I'm going to select from web, and then up here in the address, you may get a script there, don't worry about that. I'm going to come up here. It becomes a little annoying. It's not run the script. Okay, don't worry about the script. Up here, I'm going to delete the address. Make sure you delete it all. And what I want to do is ultimately replace it by pasting in the path I had copied from my web browser. And hit import, and if there's any luck in the world, it'll show the table that was on my web browser that came from the data files. I hit import, and it will import the data. Make sure I get this set up correctly. I do want to go under properties again. I want to uncheck adjust column widths. I'll leave that the same and hit OK. I should mention my cursor was on A18 to begin this. And hit OK. Now it'll bring the items in. Now yours may come in a little bit different than that, or exactly like that, but important thing is we need to delete the unnecessary rows. Okay, and now we have data brought in 3 different ways: from text, from access, and from a web page. So we've obtained data a few different ways, which was nice. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a Word document. Let me bring this over here. I have a Word document that has the table in it. This was opened from the data file. I'm going to copy just this portion. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to they want us to paste this down in row 34, and you'll see why here in a second. So I'm going to paste that, go to paste, and I'm going to select paste special. I'm going to paste it as text. And I'm doing it down in 34 for a reason. You'll see why in just a moment. So I paste that down there, and that pastes the table from the Word document. Now, I'm going to copy this again, and now I'm going to select up here in 25, and notice when I go to paste special, now I have these different options here. I'm actually going to select transpose, and that actually flips it around and puts the data in almost in the correct format. What I need to do now is I'm going to highlight B25 through E31 and just pull that area over a little bit for now. Actually, I can delete the 34 through 38. I don't need those anymore, so I'll delete those. Alright, now what I need to do next is I'm going to highlight this area here, and this is a little tricky, so I'm going to highlight those, and make sure I get the right page in the book where I'm at on this. I'm on page 436, so I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to go under data again, and I'm going to select text to column. Choose delimited, go to next. I'm going to change this from tab to space, and I'll go to next, and when I hit finish, it should convert those over in that. That's how we get data from a Word document. We got it from a web page, we got it from an access, and we have it from a text file. So I'm going to take a second and save that, and we'll continue in the next part.